That's that real music, man. Come back home.
2 years, 11 months, and 4 days. 1,068 days since our last Voltra release. The last one being Fusion Core with Barely Alive. She's finally back and has put out an official single called Lone Void. And obviously the EDM scene is just absolutely screaming. Some people even screaming without the S. Let's just go and see what the people have been saying. Oh yeah, Voltra time. My favorite part of the Voltra song is when Voltra did the thing and went, "I'm going to Voltra," and Voltra it all over everybody. I am literally trembling right now. I can't believe this. I'm so freaking excited. Could you imagine being an artist and somebody literally like genuinely like tweaking over like you releasing a song? I understand it's been a like extreme long time. It's been over 1,000 days, but like, you know, at that point I could just say I'm retiring. Like I know y'all been waiting for so long and here's a new song, but I don't need anything else to accomplish. I'm good. I'm just gonna dip. We've lived long enough to see Voltra release a new song. We got Voltra before GTA 6. Unironically, track of the year. That's how y'all feel? That's how y'all feel? Kind of crazy too, she released like in the last couple weeks of the year. This song made me felt the awe I felt the first time I fused a PC. Bro, y'all get a little too clever with these. This is the freaking Veer EP teaser. One of his songs called What? I'm gonna throw up. I'm so happy. I have never in my life been so happy I puked. Maybe I'm just really depressed. Stop! You're freaking kidding! Oh, to be a cat in a array full of other beautiful human beings. I have waited patiently. Everyone's excited about new Voltra. I was pretty intrigued too, of course. I want to see what she's going to bring to the table this time. You know, how is she going to break dubstep this time? I mean, she has posted very few whips online since her release hiatus. And they've been pretty interesting, to say the least. There was this one that was very like slow tempo and very like minimal and perky, and then she said, never releasing. Yeah, so that was a damn lie.
So that was a fucking lie.
That is the one that we got here. And I believed her. I was like, oh, I'm never releasing this. It's too left field. I'm like, oh, very, very interesting promo marketing skill there. So I did take a listen to it as soon as it came out. But before I get into my thoughts on the new Voltra, I'd like to delve back into what Voltra is and what her style is. It's very hard wave, technological, futuristic. There's a movie out there, Tron, spacey, computerized. Most of her intros, probably all of her intros actually, are very hard wave, synth based. They have a lot of that going on. It almost feels like a mix of like modern dubstep, old like techno, or like hard style, you know, with all them lasery synths and, you know, very bright synths. So it is a cool way of mixing styles together, and then she does it exceptionally well. So I'm gonna tell y'all my 3 favorite tracks of Voltra's. Now, I've had the privilege of knowing who Voltra was ever since her first ever release, Pulsefire, and I was like, damn, this is really freaking good. Voltra's gonna be somewhere. Voltra's gonna be big. I was right. Number 3, we have Star Force from Luma EP. Mwah. Very, very, very sick. Instance from Halcyon Sound Volume 1. It's a really groovy, fun track. More of a fun Voltra track and not just... It doesn't sound as serious, but it's just as good. And number 1, Optronic. Yeah. Definitely older Voltra tracks. Well, they're all older at this point. I don't even blast Voltra that often. I'm just gonna keep it 100. But every time I'm reminded of Voltra, I appreciate her style. All of these songs on here, I actually like have hit the like button, which means, you know, they've been good enough for me to be like, yeah, I like this song. So even though, you know, I don't really go back to them, I still highly, highly appreciate Voltra's music. It's kind of the same for the new track. Here's where I'm going to get a little controversial here. And I say controversial lightly because I'm just speaking music here and nothing like crazy serious. I'm just talking about the new Vultra song. It's been out for 2 days. Everyone's losing the damn mind. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest song of all time. And I'm just sitting here like, it's not my cup of tea. I know. Look, alright, I'm gonna try to explain this. While I would not really go back to this song ever, I do appreciate it. And I'm not saying that lightly. I appreciate this song and what Voltra does for the scene. This is a track that, even for Voltra, is very left field. For the most part, it's been like almost tear out and dubstep and like rhythm a little bit too. But here we're getting like, I don't even know, just electronic, I guess. Yeah, electronic is the genre that she put on here. And it's very fitting. The intros and the midsection and even just a little bit of the outro are still very Voltra. Again, that synthy kind of sound, which is, you know, it's nice. It's signature, and it gets the job done. It's very pretty, very dark as well. We get into this first drop here, which is probably the most important part of the song. Personally, I prefer the second drop over the first one, but I get it. I understand why people love it and why it's so good. The production is clean as hell. I don't have any faults about the actual songwriting or production itself. It's just not really my cup of tea. It's not really my sip of water. It's not really a lake that I would swim around for very long. It didn't pique my interest, but I do think it is interesting. That doesn't make any damn sense. I'm sorry. Does that make sense? Like, as much as I appreciate this, it's not really for me. I don't know. This weird drop, the first drop. It is very interesting. What starts to be extreme minimalism. It's got this repeated big laser perk shot, extremely small drums, like a little kick and a clap, and a little bass. And there's a very small like background sustain in it as well, just so it's not completely empty. There is a spectacular way and direction, a very specific direction, a very sophisticated direction even I can put in on why this drop is what it is. First off, the song is called Lone Void, which means a lonely void. It's empty, right? And this drop sounds really empty. We're now just in this lone void. We don't know where the hell we are. To make matters even scarier, it gets slower. The flow gets slower. I think the tempo drops a little bit as well. And there's also, the flow is cut in half. And it's like, what? It gets even deeper than this. Yes, it does. We go for a little bit into a different key. And the transition from keys and tempo a little bit in the middle of the drop. So everyone's like, oh, you know, when I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, you know, your eyes just kind of wide open, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, what just happened, right? And I guess that was the point, right? So we then get into some more beautiful synths, more kind of, but it's not beautiful as in like, oh, it's so happy. It's obviously a very somber track. Then it starts to get more energetic. Here in this final drop, around the 5:30 mark, we are reintroduced to that perk laser sound, right? But it's in a different flow, and it starts to slowly introduce us into the hardstyle section. Which couldn't tell you that was coming. Like, I had absolutely no clue, but it is very nice the way it's portrayed. You know, it's not just a simple switch. You know, there's a lot of things going on, and the sounds themselves make it even more interesting because it's not just a hardstyle drop. It's in the same tempo, but it's like in a triplet flow, kind of. It's like offbeat. Dun 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 dun. Damn, like it hits you in the face. It sounds like, if I could put this into a story writing perspective, we are escaping the void. You know, we've been stuck in this void for a long time, and it's getting even scarier, but then we slowly but surely are getting our way out of it, and then we finally escape. That, or we're just getting even deeper and there's no way to possibly escape. And from the description here, actually, now that I'm looking at it, my second guess sounds more correct. A plane beyond which our measurable reality and perception cannot exist, an unstable system that eclipses our understanding, devoid of the passage of time. That's very fitting for you, Vultra, isn't it? The beginning of the end. Yeah, it doesn't sound like we escape. We're just getting deeper and deeper and deeper, but which means, how deep does this void get? That's what she said. What? Voltra always bringing out some really just left field ideas and refreshing everyone's mind. The scene definitely needed a Vultra return, especially this year. It also would have been exciting for her to come back for 2024, like at the start of 2024, which obviously I believe will happen. Do y'all think Vultra's gonna come back, like, for real? Like, are we gonna get more Vultra music, or is this it? Is she gonna leave for another 3 years? I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine? I'm sure we'll get something in 2024. I'm assuming we will. Now that Vultra's like, hey, you know, here's a new song. Here's my message to you, Vultra, and probably to all your fans as well. Don't be a Corey Kenshin. Don't just make a couple videos and then dip. I'm joking. I'm joking. Very excited to see you back. Even though the track isn't really in my aura of what I listen to, it is still very interesting, and it is a good track. It is a good track. It's a well-written, feels a bit more storytelling than your past tracks, a lot more adventurous. It also sounds like almost like a new Vultra incoming. Like, is this what new Vultra is gonna sound like, or is this like a one-at-a-time thing? Well, I guess we'll have to find out, won't we? But yeah, those are my opinions, and obviously my thoughts and my discussion on the new Vultra release. So yeah, very cool, very cool. High production, good story writing, good songwriting. Yeah, everything you pretty much need in an electronic track. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know if you guys like this kind of content, like just me kind of talking and discussing, but also kind of goofing around a little bit. But yeah, I will see you all later. All right. Bye-bye now.